Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. This is JB.
And I'm Chandler, and this is the Unbiased Hard Take.
And on today's Unbiased Hard Take, as always, me and JB are going to wrap up Week 14, and it was not a very glorious week. Not for Jordan, not for me, because last week his predictions were 7-8, and mine was an abysmal 5-10. However, for the season, as you can see, I almost had me a double-digit lead for the first time this season, but like I said a few weeks ago, JB always seems to creep his head across the corner when I think I'm getting me a nice little lead. Because now, JB, as you can see above us here, is 125-83 on the season, and I am 132-76. So still a lead for your boy Chandler, but JB creeping his head across here again as we start what I call the fourth quarter of the season. So crunch time it is. Someone's getting free DoorDash, so we will find out who. So with that, before we get into that, me and JB are going to wrap up Week 14, like I said. JB, what's one game you want to talk about from Week 14?
Oh man, there were so many games where a lot of upsets,
Yes.
happened. Um, for example, the New England and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I really don't want to get into that segment. Mr. Trubisky, he sucks. We can say that for going on and on, but
Mitchburg.
I never called him that. But yeah, I could talk about the Detroit and Chicago game. Justin Fields went over 223 yards. Even though has been rumors that Justin Fields is on his last contract. This is his last year, and he'll be a free agent. And apparently, what we were thinking about is that Chicago may not sign him, and they might go quarterback round one, first overall pick. But we're also told that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to pick him up. I don't think so. I don't see that happening. If it is, it's going to be a great big dumpster fire for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes.
Jake Browning, he's been doing amazing. He's been doing quite, I want to say quite the unimpossible, but coming back as the coming back to the what was it? What game did he play? Was it against I just had it the Colts. He lit the Colts up pretty good. And Joe Flacco, out of all people, came out of retirement, or no one didn't want him, but Cleveland did, and all of a sudden he's given the Cleveland Browns hope again, better than what Deshaun Watson does on a regular basis. We can talk about the New York. Actually, there is one game. This is the game I want to talk about: the New York Jets and the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson, 27 for 36, 301 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Where did that come from? I have no idea. But man, he lit it up. He lit it up. Apparently, ever since Aaron Rodgers is back on the field, traveling with the team, still ain't playing. But I mean, he gave him some pointers, and sure enough, it worked. So, but yeah, Zach Wilson lit up the Texans, and we are all surprised at the way that was how it pointed out. CJ Stroud had one of the worst games of his rookie career. Only went 10 for 23 and 91 yards. Singletary is the only person actually scored. No field goals, no nothing on the Houston Texans. Singletary is the only one. But yeah, out of everything, that game was unreal for New York, especially for the New York Jets, because we never seen Zach Wilson do this. His rating was 117.9. His QBR was a little low. It's 45.3, but that rating though is 117. He only got sacked 4 times.
And that's a horrible offensive line. I think a lot with Zach Wilson, like you said. The New York media is hard. He's a young kid. He's in his early 20s still. Kind of immature at times. He's proven that previously. So I think a lot of the talk gets in your head. Once
Mhm.
you've been benched so many times, he flat out came out and said it. Quote, what are they going to do? Bench me again? What do I have to lose?
Yep.
So I think he kind of went out there with no pressure and just played the game. He didn't let the talk get in his head.
Yep. And he did lose a fumble. There was a fumble, and then he did lose one, so that's probably why his QBR went down a little bit. So he had one turnover. Um, but yeah, with everything, the run game was kind of not there. Dalvin Cook for seven carries for 13. Brees Hall 10 for 40 or 10 carries, 40 yards. The only touchdown was Xavier Gibson with 1 carry for 9 yards, and that was that touchdown on the ground. Randall Cobb caught one for 15, or his only catch of the game, for 15 yards. Brees Hall did caught one in, and he had caught 8 catches for 86 and one touchdown. But Garrett Wilson, he was so close. He, I don't know how many times he about had a touchdown though, but 9 catches for 108 yards. He only got targeted 14 times. So as long as it was 25 yards, so all props to him. But yeah, the New York Jets defense was amazing. Um, all around, held the high powered Houston Texans offense to only 6 points. So that is really amazing. So
I like that. And I think it's concerning for the Texans. We'll talk about them later. But yes, absolutely. The Jets looked outstanding. But one game I want to talk about, I didn't do a short take this week on my Packers coverage because, life gets busy sometimes, and Christmas time, holidays, all that good jazz. So I wanted to save it for the podcast. So with that, I want to talk about the Green Bay and New York Giants game on Monday night. I said last week that never assume you're going to win. Did I not?
nope.
Because we just came off one of the most impressive 3-game stretches I've seen of any team all year. We beat the Chargers when Herbert was healthy. We beat the Lions, who are leading the division, on Thanksgiving in front of the whole country. And then we beat the defending Super Bowl champions on Monday Night Football at Lambeau in front of the whole country again. So I think a lot of that probably is we have the youngest team in football. That's an actual stat. We really do. The youngest teams in the league. Probably got a little too cocky. Jordan Love said after the game that he thinks this team has what it takes to respond. We will see against Tampa Bay. But I want to talk about it for one reason. We shot ourselves in the foot all night long, and we still had a chance to win at the end of the game. We muffed a punt. We had 3 total turnovers. The Giants are the most sacked team in the NFL, and we didn't have a single sack, even though we have one of the best pass rushers in the NFL in Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith, who is above average in my opinion. So then you have DeVito, who's a backup quarterback, undrafted. He was marching up and down the field. Jordan Love, with under 2 minutes to go, did everything the man needed to do. He went down the field. He scored a touchdown. Yeah, we didn't get the 2-point conversion, but the man went down the field, scored a touchdown with under 2 minutes, which gave us a 1-point lead. Again, shooting ourselves in the foot. Andrews Carlson missed a field goal. There's 3 points on the board. We missed a 2-point conversion. There's another 2 points off the board. So now you're looking at 5 points. Like I said, we muffed a punt, which resulted in Giants points. We threw a glass interception Jordan Love threw early in the game. We're shooting ourselves in the foot, and we're still competing. Had we not shot ourselves in the foot 1,000 times that game, we would have won the game. And we still had a chance too late. But, of course, Joe Barry, as always, here's the reason he hasn't been fired. Because there are times Joe Barry actually looks pretty good. Like, forcing 3 turnovers in the first half against the powered offense of the Lions. Or holding Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl winning quarterback, MVP, to under 20 points in a game. But then there are times where Tommy freaking DeVito is marching up and down the field all night long. It's the inconsistencies with Joe Barry I don't like. Like, Matt Canada was just trash. Joe Barry's frustrating in a different way because his nickel defense Joe Barry is inconsistent. That is the most frustrating part. Green Bay has 2 easy games coming up with Tampa Bay, who has a losing record, as they have Carolina, who's abysmal, our next 2 games. So again, 2 more games probably should win. But the good news is, I'll end on a positive note. Good news is Packers are still in the playoff picture. Yes, we're 6-7, but the NFC is not nearly as good as the AFC. And looking at the playoff picture right now, which I have, the Packers are still the 7 seed. There's a big tie down the line there. There's a bunch of teams in there, but we own the tiebreaker against the Rams. We beat them, and then the Seahawks, Falcons, Saints also have the same record as us, but we own the tiebreaker. This is a big week.
You think Joe Barry has a soft side as a quarterback that stays at home and still stays at home and has his bed made and home cooked meals already there, and Saquon Barkley is getting 2 rushing touchdowns for 20 carries and 86 yards.
Oh,
Is
God.
wait, is Joe Barry's favorite food is Italian? Is it not? Oh man, I think that's
Yes.
it's funny.
Chalk up my misery. Chalk it up. Chalk
Yep.
it up.
I know you do it to my Steelers, so
I do, and we both had bad weeks. We both had more games predicted incorrectly, and both of our teams lost games they should not have.
yeah.
However, the Steelers are still also in the playoff picture because of tiebreakers, so life could be worse.
Yeah, well at
Life
least you
could be
didn't
worse.
lose to a team that only won 2 games back to back.
That's fair. That's fair. Speaking of, hopefully this week will be better. Speaking of abysmal, Thursday night football, JB. Who do you got tonight?
Thursday
The LA
night
Chargers?
football. Ooh.
Stepchild of the. You got the LA Chargers at the Vegas Raiders. Justin Herbert has been ruled out for the season.
Ooh.
And the Vikings, and the Vikings just also lost. No, sorry, the Raiders just lost to the Vikings 3-0. So this game, I'm sure, will be a barn burner.
Oh, but Justin Herbert being out for the season. Let me look at their roster here. I don't even know who's their backup.
The Raiders?
Max, no.
The Chargers.
Chargers. Easton Stick and Max Duggan. Duggan is the rookie, and Stick has 5 years experience. Ooh. I'm probably gonna go with the Raiders on this one, even though they lost 3-0. Just because for the fact that one, I think the voltage in the Los Angeles Chargers is gone. Ever since Justin Herbert is out for the season, they don't have a good backup quarterback, because I never heard of those two before. Stick and Duggan. Who are they? I don't know. So
Chargers, Brandon Staley did announce that Stick will start tonight.
Oh, see. Well, at least he has like a 5-year experience, but I mean, experience gets you nowhere anymore. But like I said, never heard of him. Never heard of Stick. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the the Raiders on this one, just for the fact that their defense is not where it should be. For the Chargers, and their offense is in shambles now, since they don't have the almighty regular season best QB in regular season football, Justin Herbert. So yeah, give me the Raiders.
I 100% agree with you, and while I think both of these teams suck, and they do because they're both 5-8, the Chargers are a way worse 5-8. The Chargers are easily, in my opinion, the most disappointing team in the entire league this year. Most people haven't gone to the playoffs, made the playoffs last year, so they have not only regressed, but regressed mightily. Not only is Justin Herbert out, But Keenan Allen, who's one of the best receivers in football, over 1,000 yards, has also been ruled out for today's game. So you look at that. I mean, both teams are on backup quarterbacks. Aiden O'Connell will start for the Raiders, and Stick will start for the Chargers. So I think this is going to be a very ugly football game. But you look at the Chargers; they're a dumpster fire right now. I mean, the Raiders are at least playing hard for their coach. Me and you both know Brandon Staley is not going to be the coach of the Chargers next year. They have given up on that man, 100%,
Oh yeah.
100%.
I wouldn't. Honestly, I would not surprise if they just tank the rest of these games.
I don't believe in tanking in the NFL. I think that happens more in the NBA. I don't think there's tanking really in the NFL. These players are playing for jobs constantly, especially players like Stick, Aiden O'Connell. These players are going to go out there and try because they want to make rosters next year. They want to be on the roster. So I don't think tanking exists so much in the NFL. But you look at the Chargers, 24-7. The Broncos lost. They beat the Patriots 6-0. Lost to the Ravens. Lost to the Packers.
Yeah.
They've given up. They're a dumpster fire the last half of the season. I think the Raiders win a game here that's very ugly. Probably a very unwatchable game for Thursday night. But give me the Raiders. Yes, they lost a very ugly game last week, 3-0. But I mean, they did hold the Vikings to 3 points. So I mean, that's saying something. Their defense is going out there. So they're playing hard. Give me the Raiders. All right, moving forward. 2 teams in the playoff picture. I'm not really sure how. The Minnesota Vikings at the Cincinnati Bengals.
Whew. Well, let's see. The Vikings ruled out running back Madison and moved Joshua Dobbs to QB3. That is a horrible mistake. So now they have Nick Mullins, Jaron Hall, and Joshua Dobbs. Even though Nick Mullins took him to the promised land and made him score only 3 points, I mean, that doesn't do for the fact that, I mean, whatever. I think that's just a mistake on the Vikings' part where it moved Joshua Dobbs to third string quarterback just because of one game that he kind of screwed up on.
That they won.
Yeah, and that they won. But all because of that one drive Madison had. Oh wow. I mean, did Madison give you a touchdown? No. It led you to a game-winning field goal. So, and when did Madison get on that field? What was it? In the third quarter?
You talking about Nick Mullins?
Yeah, Nick Mullins.
I didn't keep track of the Vikings game, but it was somewhere close to that. Yes, they benched him. They benched Josh Dobbs before the fourth quarter started.
So yeah. And he only went 9 for 13 and 83 yards.
Yes.
So, I don't know. I think that's just absurd. But I'm probably going to pick the Bengals just because of Jake Browning and what he's been doing ever since he been named a starter, ever since Joe Burrow is out for the season for a injured his hand. But with that all being said, so yeah, I'm gonna go with the Cincinnati Bengals just because of what Jake Browning has been doing ever since he came in, replacing Joe Burrow. So give me the Bengals.
I agree with you. And while, yes, both teams are coming off of wins, the Bengals win was far more impressive than the Vikings win because the Vikings won 3-0. That is the lowest scored game in the NFL since 2007. I actually remember watching that game. That was a Miami game. It was raining. I can't remember who they played. But anyway, that was actually a sports fact today. Go check it out. But beyond that, I mean, you look, the Vikings did win 3-0. I 100% agree with you. What the Vikings are doing to Josh Dobbs is absolutely absurd. You look, Josh Dobbs was 10 for 23, 63 yards. While that's not impressive, he didn't throw any interceptions. He didn't make any abysmal mistakes. And let's not act like Nick Mullins looked outstanding because they only won 3-0. I don't understand why you bench your quarterback at this point. You have a winning record. You're 7-6. You have possession of a wild card spot at this exact moment, and you won the game. But you're benching your quarterback. Kevin O'Connell, probably the shadiest, snakiest coach in the league. I don't like how he's treating Josh Dobbs. If I was a quarterback, I would stay far away from Minnesota right now because of how they're treating Josh Dobbs. It's absolutely absurd.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Jefferson's questionable to play right now, so his status is kind of up in the air. And like you said, man, Jay Browning, in a game that me and you both picked the Colts, he went out there and absolutely lit him up. So you like you said, 18 for 24, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 34 total points on the board. And we have ourselves in the Bengals right now, who, including us, everyone thought their season was over. They're currently not in the playoff picture, but they're tied for the 7 seed at 7-6.
Mm-hmm.
So you look, I mean, what he was able to do against a playoff Colts team was very impressive. So I'm going to give the Bengals a benefit of the doubt. They still have a very talented roster with Mixon, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. So I think the talented coach and Zach Taylor. I think the Bengals are going to pull it off. All right. Moving forward to your favorite, this is your favorite time of the week. The Pittsburgh Steelers at the Indianapolis Colts. This game is in Indy.
Honestly, I am probably going to pick the Indianapolis Colts. Even though that I just got that news just came out that Alex Highsmith has cleared the protocol, is the concussion protocol, and he is cleared to play. So is TJ Watt. So both of them are cleared to play. But yeah, with everything else being said, I mean, Kenny Pickett is still ruled out. Our guard is also unquestionable. Keen O'Neal is out on injured reserve. I mean, he's been out. Quan Alexander, he's been out for a while. I mean, this year we've been under. I'm sorry, there's an itch on my forehead. But we've been through injuries so hard lately. Like ever since we started looking good. It all started with Cole Holcomb. He had that knee injury again whenever he was in Washington. He still has that knee problem. Quan Alexander, he got that pick to score the win, or to keep that win alive. I forgot who it was. I think it was against the Ravens in the end zone. In the next game, he gets hurt. Keen O'Neal, same way. Both of our main safety and our backup safety is also hurt. So, and plus the locker room, I feel like the locker room for the Pittsburgh Steelers is dead. The culture is not there anymore. I feel like the culture is not there anymore. People are just expecting to, as like what Minkah Fitzpatrick said during a press conference, in a locker room press conference. People are expecting to make plays and be wearing black and gold, that's not the case. That's never been the case. If you look down, that passed down from generations to generations of how the Pittsburgh Steelers play, and this is not how this is not Pittsburgh football right here. So with that being said, I think the locker room and the tradition is dead. Unless there's quite a few people come back, and like Ben Roethlisberger, offensive coordinator, comes back and helps the young people to keep that tradition alive And who knows? I might have Troy Polamalu be part of be a safeties coach. I don't know. Or heck, have Joey Porter come back to be a coach, to be a linebacker coach. Have our linebackers be disciplined, because I feel like our linebackers are not disciplined enough. And yes, we have T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith, both the two best pass rushers in the league right now. But we have to look at the other linebackers. They are not disciplined enough. But we need to keep. I feel like the Steelers need to go back to tradition and keep that thing alive. So right now it is dead. So yeah, I am going with the Colts.
Damn, it made me sad hearing everything you said. But, especially after that New England performance, it's been a rough 2 weeks to be a Steelers fan, losing to the Cardinals and then losing to the Patriots, who had the Patriots before the Steelers game had some of the worst three stretch of game of football we've seen in a while. And then you look, they turn around and put 21 points up on New England after not scoring a single touchdown the last 3 weeks. That's not good. That's not good. Kenny Pickett's still out. Mike Tomlin announced Mitch Trubisky will start Saturday against the Colts. This game is not in Pittsburgh. This game is in Indianapolis. And this is a big game for a lot of reasons. Not only because it's your Steelers against our home state, but because of the fact that the Steelers have a 7-6 record and currently hold the 6th seed. The Colts have a 7-6 record and hold the 7th seed. The Texans, the Broncos, the Bengals, and the Bills all are also 7-6, but don't own the tiebreaker and are outside the playoff picture.
Mm-hmm.
Why does that matter? Because someone's going to lose this game, and somebody is going to be kicked out of the playoff picture. Either the Colts or the Steelers, somebody. So I'm not going to say the Colts is dead, because it's only a 2-game stretch. I think Mike Tomlin still has a winning record. I think there are a lot of things that need fixed in Pittsburgh. I'm not going to deny that. I think they're offensive inept. I think they're offensive ignorant. I think Mike Tomlin has a good control of his special teams, and I think he has a good control of his defense. But you look at the offense, they can't make plays. The Steelers were blocking punts. The Steelers were making defensive plays. They were forcing turnovers on special teams, and they still couldn't put the ball in the end zone because now Ben Roethlisberger's not there to save them anymore. And Kenny Pickett's injured. And while Kenny Pickett is no Ben Roethlisberger, he's definitely better than Mitch Trubisky. So, on top of the fact that Kenny Pickett's out,
I mean, I give Trubisky one good credit. At least he's not scared to throw the ball down the field.
no,
He is not scared to throw the ball down the field. And I think with Matt Canada and everything else, the way that he's taught Kenny Pickett is to check down, RPO this, RPO that. It's like, no, we need the ball down the field. Mitch Trubisky is not scared to make those plays. And yes, they might be incomplete or it might be intercepted. You know, that's Mitch Trubisky. But he is not scared to throw it down the field. 40 yards down the field. Not like 2 yards check down over a swing route to the halfback or a screenplay on the receiver. So, I mean, I wanted to see more. Whenever Kenny Pickett does come back, I would love to see him throw the ball down the field more, because we got too many fast receivers. We got Calvin Austin III. Has the fastest 40-yard dash of the I think it's last rookie or this rookie class. Or no, last year's rookie class. So he had that fastest 40-yard time. We got George Pickens. Probably I still believe he's still one of the best playmaking receivers in the game. We're just not using him, and I can see the frustration because we're not using him at all. We got what's his name? We got him from Chicago. We don't even use him, but he's still a good playmaker. Anderson, was it Anderson the second? Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not going to confirm because I'm not sure.
I could probably look. We barely even. I feel like we hardly ever use our receivers anymore. It's literally not
Right.
even funny.
And that's my point. But you look, I
Allen
mean, you
Allen
look at the
Robinson.
Colts.
Allen Robinson. I mean,
Allen,
even though he's on his 10 year, I mean, he has the we have the veteran in our receiver core, and we got Deontay Johnson, which I still believe. I mean, he kind of he apologized for his
he did.
or his behavior, but I do believe George Pickens. I mean, for Deontay Johnson, he doesn't have the right to be that um, disgruntled. George Pickens, on the other hand, is. I think he should. I think he's setting a example of why he should be the top receiver on the team, and he should be. So with that moving forward, I just hope we need to see the ball go down the field more. And on the other hand, we signed Trace McSorley.
Not a good sign for Mitch Trubisky.
No, we actually
mean, you
signed him
look,
a few weeks ago.
Right. I mean, you look, because of everything I've just said, everything you just said, I'm also going with Indianapolis. Yes, Jonathan Taylor has been ruled out tomorrow, but I mean, Gardner Minshew still had over 200 yards passing. The dude still had a touchdown. Gardner Minshew's going to make mistakes, but Gardner Minshew's also going to make plays. And they still have Zach Moss, who is still an above-average running back. Michael Pittman at receiver. The Colts got playmakers. Unfortunately for you, I think Indianapolis wins.
But yeah, I mean, at least Mr. or not Mr. Trubisky. Gardner Minshew is not scared to throw the ball down the field. I'm just pointing that out.
And that might be why the Steelers have a chance. But yeah, I think the unbiased here is going with Indianapolis.
Yep.
Moving forward, another big game. The Denver Broncos at the Detroit Lions.
Oh. And it is a Saturday night football.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, Saturdays. Just really, it feels like it's really weird to have a game on Saturday.
It is. We're not used to it, but you know, as I get older, I love me some football the more I can get it.
Yep, the more we can. Wish we had football like it's basketball.
I could watch football tonight. You're absolutely correct.
But I'm probably going to go with the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
The way that they are looking right now, even though they outscored the Los Angeles Chargers 24-7, Russell Wilson is getting the job done. They bounce back. They are on let me see this here. Let me go on their even though they lost to the Texans, they are on a 1-game winning streak. But before that, they were on a 5-game winning streak. So with that everything being said, Broncos are back. I don't think Sean Payne has had enough, and they're actually winning. So with everything else, and then with on top of it how Detroit played yesterday, Jared Goff I feel like he is on a slump right now. Jared Goff, the past 2 games. Well, I want to say he's on a slump. I mean, he does have his moments. But yeah, I mean, I feel like he's on a little slump right now. With 2 picks against the Chicago Bears. But with everything else, I do believe that the Denver Broncos are a high-powered team right now. They're on a roll, and the Detroit Lions are just on that little uh downhill slope right now. So give me the Denver Broncos.
You are absolutely correct, and I thought we'd be different here because I actually had a gut feeling you would go with Detroit. I don't know why, but I thought we'd be wrong here and different here. But let's look at the Lions. They have at least one turnover 2 of the last 3 games. They are not playing disciplined football. Jared Goff right now has 2 interceptions from Sunday, 161 yards. You look, they had again 1 fumble loss, 2 interceptions thrown, 3 turnovers. They had a fumble returned for a touchdown against the Packers on Thanksgiving. They fumbled the first snap of the game against the Saints. And they almost blew it against the Saints. They let him come back in the game. And the Saints are not very good. And then, before the first time they played Chicago, they had multiple turnovers that game as well, but were able to win somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lions are not playing disciplined football right now. Yes, they're probably going to win the division, in my opinion. Green Bay is just too far behind this late in the season. Green Bay needs to focus more on a wild card spot. Minnesota as well. Yeah, they won, but they're winning 3-0, and they don't have a quarterback, and Justin Jefferson's on and off right now because he's hurt. So they're still going to win. They're still going to win the division, but I think the Lions might be bounced early if they continue playing this way. And I think the Broncos, man, I'm telling you, they're going to be a playoff team this year, 100%, because they
Mm-hmm.
don't make mistakes. Russell Wilson's not throwing a lot of interceptions for the season. He only has 8 interceptions, and 3 of those came in one game. He has 23 touchdowns, 98.3 completion, not completion percentage, but QBR. So he's playing like he did in Seattle again. Russell Wilson, I guess we shouldn't be surprised because he had a good 10 years in Seattle. Let's not act like it was only 1 or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
The dude won a Super Bowl. He played in another Super Bowl and should have won another Super Bowl had they gave the ball to Marshawn Lynch, but that's an old topic that everyone knows about. So you look, wow, Denver's last big games. After the Lions game, New England, win. Chargers without Justin Herbert, win. Raiders, win. They have an easy schedule going down the line here, and they're already at 7 wins.
Mm-hmm.
I think Denver's playing good football. Detroit is not right now after all the stats we just gave. So give me Denver. I think they're going to Broncos country. He's going to ride to the playoffs. Give me Denver. All right, here we go. The Atlanta Falcons at the Carolina Panthers, a division game. Falcons are 6-7 and are one of those NFC teams who are tied for the 7 seed, but outside the playoff picture currently.
I mean, if anything, Carolina is one of the worst football or teams, one of the worst teams in the NFL. I think they've been really bad ever since Cam Newton left.
Yes.
So I'm just gonna pick with Atlanta on this one. I mean, it's not easy. It's not an easy pick. It is an easy pick. Just for the fact that just Carolina is one of the worst teams. They can't move the ball down the field. They can barely score on any occasion. So yeah, just give me Atlanta. At least they know how to drive the ball down the field.
I agree with you because Atlanta's playing for their playoff chances here. They just lost to Tampa Bay, which why does that matter? That matters now because Atlanta sits outside the playoff picture and Tampa Bay sits inside the playoff picture right now. So, speaking of that, I forgot to do this last week. Tampa Bay's in the playoffs right now, so I can do this officially. Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady Jr. gonna go playoffs, win Super Bowls, empty no. There it is. So you look, Atlanta. All seriousness, Atlanta's sitting outside the playoff picture. They lost that big game against Tampa Bay, but that doesn't matter simply because of who they're playing. I meant what I said when I said I truly don't think Carolina will win another game. I feel bad for Bryce Young. He looks like an atrocious bust. C.J. Stroud, we have seen moments. Even Will Levis, who I think is going to suck in the future and overall, we've seen moments.
I mean, he came back. He came back against the high-powered defense of the Miami Dolphins.
My
with
point.
less
We've
than
seen-
2 minutes left in the game.
Yes.
That's
so
impressive.
we've seen moments. Anthony Richardson, we've seen moments of how athletic he is before he got hurt early in the year.
Mm-hmm.
The only one we haven't seen moments from is Bryce Young. And while some of that I think is because he plays for the clown show Panthers and they have no talent around him at all, they have no receivers, none at all.
Nope.
And they don't have a first-round pick to get better.
I mean, they have
So-
out of retire. It feels like a retirement home, Adam Thielen. I mean,
Exactly.
that's the only person he has, but he can't.
I
get
don't think
open.
it's all Bryce Young. I think Carolina is years from competing. So with that, I think Atlanta wins. I don't think it's going to be a good football game, but I think Atlanta gets back to 500 just truly because of how bad the Panthers really, really are.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've
Give me-
seen some of the highlights of the New Orleans and Carolina game on last week.
Yes.
Their line, the Carolina's offensive line, is atrocious. I mean, right when he got his through his 3 steps, I mean, there was already 3 or 4 guys at his face already. I mean, if that's with enough everything being said, it's that's why the Carolina is not probably won't be that good in a while until they actually fix the front office and try to actually get players on that team.
They don't have any picks to do it.
Nope. 'Cause they
So yeah. I feel bad for Bryce Young. He's part of the problem, but definitely not all of it. I feel for the kid.
honestly, I don't even think he's the problem. I mean, he's trying to do everything, and look what he has to work with.
It's not a lot.
I mean, a lot. I mean, technically, both of us we can go out there and we can have more help than what he has. I mean, come on now. I mean, I'm not saying
Yeah.
anything against the pros because we're not there. I mean, we're just too.
People who might not play the game, but me and you definitely understand the game. Me and you know the X's and O's. We understand the actual concept of football. West Coast offense, pistol offense. You have 3-4 defense, 4-3
Single
defense. You have all
back.
sorts of.
Trips.
We understand the actual game, so we know what we're seeing. The
Yep.
Panthers are not close.
Nope.
With that, here's a team. I can't believe I am saying this as close because it makes me sick to my stomach. The Chicago Bears at the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland coming off that very impressive victory.
I don't think the Bears can't do it back to back, just because it's Chicago, and it's Justin Fields. Excuse me, at quarterback.
Nice.
I mean, Joe Flacco looked 10 times better than what Justin Fields did. Joe Flacco threw for 2 touchdowns, 301 yards, and Justin Fields only went through for 200 to like 228 or something, I do believe. I'm not looking at it anymore because I'm on the next week.
223 passing yards, 58 rushing yards, 1 touchdown on each
And-
running and passing.
Yep, so he had 2 total. But Joe Flacco looked better. The even though the Bears defense looked good against the Lions, what has they looked like with other teams? Not good. So, with that being said, I am picking the Cleveland Browns winning.
You are absolutely right. Because, yes, the Bears won a game I didn't think they'd win, but that is a division matchup. That's an NFC North rivalry. The Bears and the Lions, it has been forever. And me and you both know division teams play each other well. In the 2000s, when Ben Roethlisberger was winning Super Bowls, the Browns always lost to the Steelers, but they always played them super close because it's a division rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how the divisions are. Those teams don't like each other. Same thing in this case. And I'm going to give Justin Fields some credit. It is the shit Chicago Bears. Justin Fields is not that dude. I'm not saying he is. But I mean, 223 yards, 1 touchdown, 58 rushing yards, a touchdown, pulling up the upset in Chicago against a playoff team Lions with a winning record. That's impressive. But what's more impressive is an old Joe Flacco, like you said, going out there and putting up those numbers. How's this sound? Joe Flacco, 2023 playoff quarterback. That's what it's going to be. Because that Browns defense at home is absolutely legendary. I mean, they forced 3 interceptions on Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, they allowed a bunch in the fourth quarter and allowed 13 points in the fourth quarter, which is way too much. But they overall played a good game, forcing turnovers. And they were able to pull out the victory in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not in overtime. I apologize, not in overtime. So you look, it's extremely impressive what the Browns are doing. Yeah, so give me Cleveland. I think I doubted Cleveland. I had some doubts last week. But I think Cleveland's a playoff team. I really, really, really do. I think Cleveland wins. All right. Ah, yes. My favorite time of the week. Who do you got? We got the 2 bays here. 1 bay. You got to pick one. You got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady Jr. He's the GOAT. Go win Super Bowl. Or the Green Bay Packers. This is at Lambeau.
Ooh, the frozen tundra. It's about to be that time. It's about to be that time of the year. And this is the first time the Packers has seen or will face against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, in a while.
In a while. Well, here is my take on it. How is Joe Barry going to face against the Buccaneers offense? How's he going to stop Mike Evans?
We won't. That's not the kicker, though, because Mike Evans has always put up good numbers.
Yep, regardless.
And they don't win a lot.
We
won't. I don't think we'll stop Mike Evans. The kicker is don't get burned.
Okay, so Chris Godwin is questionable. So basically, almost everyone else is questionable. Vita Vea is questionable. Jamal Dean is questionable. Carlton Davis is questionable. Ryan Neal is questionable. Devin White is questionable. And their long snapper is even questionable. So basically, everyone that's really injured is coming back. Except for the people that are on injured reserve. They're not coming back. But if everyone else is, because they're all questionable, especially Chris Godwin. That's probably one of the big main things. But he did not participate in Thursday's practice. But still got quite a few more days to get that knee healthy. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be a real tough one. But I don't think the Buccaneers really don't have that much of a high-powered defense to stop the Green Bay's offense. So I'm gonna pick Green Bay. Give me Green Bay.
I absolutely agree with you. And I actually mean that. And I'm going to start with this, like you said, the frozen tundra. So with that, it is December 14th today. That's the 1 o'clock game, and I'm looking at the Green Bay weather right now on my phone. So you look at the Green Bay weather at game time at 1 p.m. It is supposed to be 39 degrees. The Buccaneers play in Florida. It's hot. It's muggy. It's warm all year long. I know it's not quite frozen tundra time yet. It's going to be a little colder than Tampa Bay likes. While I don't think that's the ultimate factor, I think it definitely plays a factor. So then, here's what definitely plays a factor. Let's look at Green Bay's injury report, because boy is it long, and it's been long all year long, and it always is. Jaire Alexander, limited practice on Wednesday. Limited practice on Thursday. You look at A.J. Dillon, he didn't practice today. Elton Jenkins didn't practice today. Aaron Jones was a limited practice today. Jaden Reed limited practice today. Quay Walker did not practice. One of the best
Ooh.
middle linebackers. He almost has 100 tackles, and he's missed like 4 games. So you look at that, not good. But we've been winning games without those guys all year long. Jordan Love. Like I said, he took him right down the field against the Giants. If we don't make those boneheaded plays against the Giants, shooting ourselves in the foot, like I said, we win that game.
Or we
He has
let's make a field
218
goal.
yards. Right, Carlson makes that field goal. We win the game. But you look at Jordan Love, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 218 yards, 25 for 39. So I would say a C-plus performance from him. Nixon played like crap at corner. He flat out quoted that quote. He played like shit. I think the Packers are a young team, so you're going to get some of those boneheaded mistakes, but you're also going to get some moments of greatness. I think this Packer team is competitive. We're competing during a rebuilding season. We're a playoff team right now. So while we're not playing Green Bay Packer football is score 30 points, be consistent, don't shoot yourselves in the foot, don't turn the ball over. And your defense comes along and does just enough to win. I think Jordan Love's that guy. I think he's a Pro Bowl quarterback this year. I think Green Bay's going to make the playoffs. I had him as my 7th seed going into the season, as did you. And we're the 7th seed right now. This is a must-win game with all those games that we're tied with in the NFC. We need to win this week or we're going to be out of the playoff picture ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
This is a must-win game for the Packers. This is in Lambeau, one of the hardest places to play. Because of that, I can't bet against my Packers. I have all the reason to believe they're going to win. I think the Packers bounce back. Give me the big GB. All right. Moving forward, this is another big game for different reasons. The New York Jets at the Miami Dolphins.
I don't think Zach Wilson can't do it back to back. I'll be surprised if he does, but the way that the Tennessee Titans played Miami last game, without Tyreek Hill, I don't think he did not show up or come back after when he went back to the locker room. Actually, let us check his injury.
Tyreek Hill?
Yep. Oh, he is questionable, his ankle, but he had listed as a non-participant in Thursday's walkthroughs practice. Akane toe, his toe was he also listed as a non-participant, and so did Raheem Mostert, or the Purdue legend, was listed as a limited participant. So they all went up as questionable, all 3 of them. So, I mean, it is a good sign for that. But yeah, I don't think the Jets cannot stop the high-powered offense of the Miami. Yes, they did kill the Texans hardcore 30-6. I don't think they're not that much high-powered. So give me the Miami Dolphins.
I absolutely agree with you. The Dolphins outplayed the Titans really all game long. Me and you watched the game together at your place, between the Packers and the Dolphins game. The Dolphins outperformed the Titans all game long. They just couldn't finish, and they kind of choked, so to speak, and lost that lead late in the game. That was a 2-touchdown lead, which is absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm.
That the high-powered Dolphins. So the Dolphins are definitely a different team without Tyreek Hill. That's why I think Tyreek Hill is actually this year's MVP to this point. I absolutely believe that. But a lot of that will depend on if he plays the last bit of the season, because we know the AP voters love to give it to quarterbacks. It's a quarterback award these days, which is sad because Tyreek Hill deserves it.
Yep.
However, because really there's not a quarterback out there that does. But we'll get into that when the regular season ends. So we'll be able to tell you more then. But you look, Mike McDaniel is quoted on saying, "We're setting a PR here for my tenure, talking about the number of injuries. quote, "There's a lot of question marks. The one thing I'm not questioning is the gusto of whichever who is playing for us on Sunday. We are very focused on the New York Jets." That's a quote from head coach Mike McDaniel. So a lot of question marks with the Dolphins' injuries. So I think this is actually going to be a closer game than people think. Zach Wilson has proven to at least earn a backup quarterback spot in the NFL. I think
Mhm.
he's a solid second stringer. I don't think he's a starter. I don't think he's lived up to that number 2 pick. But I do think Zach Wilson is a respectable backup. So he's playing for a lot. The Jets are kind of out of the picture at this point. This is in Miami. Miami's sweating. They're competing for that 1 seed right now. So give me Miami.
Well, if Zach Wilson actually plays like he played yesterday and be consistent throughout his career so far, he might actually be a starter. But I mean, yes, there has been some rough patches, and yes, when he got drafted to the Jets and did actually start doing things on that Jets offense when he was a rookie, they didn't have anybody. Just like Bryce Young. Now he has people, and yes, he kind of looked a little bit better than what he did on his first few years. But if he stays consistent, he might be a starter after Aaron Rodgers retires, and he could actually have his a mentor, because the Jets really never had a mentor in that QB room for the Jets.
Uh, You're right, but I think Zach Wilson is gone after the Jets. They've benched him too many times. Robert Saleh talked crap about him and then benched him and then went out and put him back out there because Tim Boyle was truly that bad. And then now he's talking good about Boyle. Now he's talking good about him. Jets fans hate Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson's tired of the Jets on top of it and wants a new start. I think this is it. Zach Wilson is auditioning for other teams right now.
Yep, putting up that resume and actually putting up good numbers. So, I mean, hey,
Wait.
it's a smart move. It is a smart move.
It is. I think I'll end on this. I think Cleveland will be a good spot for Zach Wilson. Deshaun Watson has an injury history. The Browns are a really, really talented team, and they don't really have a quarterback right now either, other than old Joe Flacco. They were winning games with Robinson at quarterback, even, for Christ's sake. So I think Zach Wilson, with enough talent and a stable organization around him, would be able to at least be a good backup in Cleveland. That's a good spot. However, moving forward, the New York Football Giants at the New Orleans Saints. Big game for both teams.
Yes,
They're
it
both
is.
playing for the playoff line.
Even though the Giants had that huge win against the Green Bay Packers. If they played the way that they're playing now, because right now they are on a 3-game winning streak. Right now the Giants are hot. They are hot ever since they got signed to DeVito. Mama's boy with a coming home with that Italian dinner every night. Man, that would be so nice to have that nice Italian dinner. Just the Saints, though, on the other hand, they're special. Right now, they're lost. Well, they won against the Panthers. No shocker there. But they did lose 3 in a row, or they lost 3 in a row before the Panthers. I mean, with everything being said, I'm probably gonna go with the New York Giants. Give me the Italian boy. Give me DeVito coming or marching them down for another victory.
It bothers me
And
because
Saquon is doing Saquon things again. He did get 2 rushing touchdowns. Excuse me, against the Packers, and he I want to say he looked good because he had to 20 carries for like 80 yards, but 2 touchdowns. That is a good sign for him. So, but anyways, give me the DeVito, the Italian boy.
And it bothers me because we haven't had a single game different this week. All season long, we've had at least one game different, but we'll have something. I'm sure we will. Great minds think alike, but there's always some sort of detour with me and you. We take different routes sometimes. But I agree with you. I think the Giants right now are hot. And I can't believe I'm saying this. The Giants are 1 game out of the playoffs. They're 1 game out of the wild card right now. So, I mean, I think Brian Dable, like I said last week, is an outstanding coach. I think he's had a very challenging season this year. They're on their 3rd quarterback of the year.
Mhm.
Daniel Jones is hurt. Tyrod Taylor is hurt. So it's been a challenging year for the Giants. Saquon's been on and off. But you're right. Saquon Barkley, who's on my fantasy team, thank God. Because still the best. I lost to you last week. I want to tell the unbiased that. But I still have the best record in the fantasy league. So, did lose to my boy here. But Saquon's missed some games. He still has 783 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, but he also has, I think about 783. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Sorry. 783 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. So, but he's also getting involved in the passing game, so we have to consider that as well. I'm a big combined guy. So you look at that, Giants 3-game winning streak. The Saints, not impressed with them. I picked them to win the division, and I believe I was absolutely wrong. You look at the Saints, they need a new head coach. They need a new head coach, but I will give Derek Carr some credit. He had that rib injury and a concussion. No one thought he would play this week, and then he still went out there and put up 119 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a QBR of 88.5. So I mentioned that because I'm not a big fan of Derek Carr. I think he's an overrated quarterback, but that's tough. That shows some toughness. You go out there, you have your team tied for a playoff spot right now. But I mean, that takes some toughness. That's a true leader. I'll give him that. But yeah, I think the Giants win this game. I think they're too hot. They have a better coach. They're better coached. Give me the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, this is a big one for different reasons. The Houston Texans at the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, well, 2 rookie quarterbacks going head to head. Ooh. Well, I just looked at the Houston Texans injury list. CJ Stroud, who remains on the NFL's concussion protocol. He still has not been cleared.
Right.
Nico Collins, he remained sidelined on Thursday night practice. Noah Brown, same thing. Will Anderson did not practice Thursday, and he is wearing a walking boot, trying to recover from a high ankle sprain suffered against the Jets. So he is doubtful. And then with everyone else, Malik Collins, he's questionable. Henry Tutu, he is questionable. Shaq Mason, he is questionable. And George Fant is also questionable. So yeah, well, with CJ Stroud being out and Will Levis, actually not Will Levis. I'm sorry, I was looking at the Tennessee Titans. Davis Mills is now the quarterback for the Houston Texans for this game until he gets listed off the protocol or the concussion protocol. I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans. Just for the fact that CJ Stroud is still not off the injury or the concussion protocol, and with all those injuries that I just listed, it's not looking good for the Houston Texans right now. So yes, give me the Tennessee Titans.
You are absolutely right. I have Tennessee here as well, and it saddens me. It's why I had my head down, because I am a Texans fan by no word of the means. I could give a crap less. I'm not a Texans fan. Never have been. Never will be. I'm a Packers fan. I bleed green. I bleed green and gold. But like I've said in the podcast before, the Texans are a newer franchise. I think it's kind of cool. I remember when they were kind of born and kind of started out in the league. So I've always kind of wanted to see them do good from afar. And they were having a really, really good season. And like you said, their injury report is god-awfully atrocious. Will Anderson didn't practice. Blake Cashman didn't practice. Nico Collins, George Fant, C.J. Stroud, Travaria Thomas didn't practice. And on top of that, Tank Dell suffered an injury a few weeks ago as well that was season-ending.
Yep.
Players that I've been high on all year long, players that you've been high on all year long, are hurt for Houston. They are just an injured football team. They're better than Tennessee. If they had C.J. Stroud or Collins or even Tank Dell, one of the two, they would win this game, I think, easily. Texans are a playoff roster. Unfortunately for them, they are 7-6, and right when we thought the NFL AFC was starting to get a little bit of clarity, last week happened, and then it's chaos right now in both conferences, the AFC and NFC. Because you look all those teams, the Bills, the Bengals, the Broncos, the Texans, the Colts, and the Steelers are all 7-6. So a lot of those teams aren't making the playoffs because of Houston's injury. I think that might have a lot to do with theirs. That you look, on Tennessee's side, I think they win, but I'm gonna give them some credit. They came that big comeback against the Dolphins. Will Levis outperformed Tua, 327, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Derrick Henry gonna have 1,000 yards. He ran 2 in. Yeah, I think Tennessee wins this game. They're just healthier.
Mm-hmm. And Will Levis is actually shining once again. I mean, he had a few drought games, but I think he is also the other inconsistent quarterbacks in the league. I still believe that they have found their franchise quarterback. The Tennessee Titans has found their franchise quarterback. I think Ryan Tannehill is done for the Tennessee Titans. I do believe he's not going to be the quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. But I do believe Will Levis is that guy for the Tennessee Titans. He just needs to find more room to develop. Even though he is a rookie, all rookies need time to develop. But the way that he's been going through things right now, it's looking really, really good for Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans.
It is right now, and I'm going to give Will Levis props. It is amazing. I don't think he's that guy. I think once these defensive coaches get some film on him, this offseason is going to happen. His defensive coordinators are going to get in that film room and watch a lot of tape on him. I don't think he's good enough long term. I think he'll have some moments this year and maybe a couple next year, but overall, I don't think once his defensive coaches get some film, I think he's toast.
Yeah, that's what we all said about Patrick Mahomes and all of these other quarterbacks, and now look at all of them now.
It's true.
So a lot of them don't work out. It's just the way. If he keeps his mind on football during season and off season, not going to the clubs like Johnny Manziel did back when he was a rookie, if he just works with his offensive receivers mainly and his running backs during the off season, and then just keeps working out, getting that arm stronger, because he does have that strong arm. So
he does.
And he just needs to keep his mindset straight on football if he wants to be the franchise quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. So I'll give that though. If they can keep D-Hop as well.
And that's the thing too, is D-Hop and Derrick Henry are in their later years of their career. So on top of the fact that he's not going to have them most of his career, I watched his college tape. Yes, he has a strong arm, but I question some of his decision-making and sometimes accuracy issues. I think he has a difficult time reading defenses, and I think the NFL, like I said, once these defensive coordinators get a hold of some film, I think it's going to be rough. But we will see. Because I know you've watched a little bit of film on him too, and you liked that big arm.
Mm-hmm.
And he has confidence. He does. That's a big thing for a quarterback too. He's always had confidence. He had it in college at Kentucky, and he has it in Tennessee right now.
Yep.
So I guess
Especially when he threw
we'll
that.
see.
Especially when he threw that dot to D Hop, that one-handed grab falling down, and man, that looked straight beautiful.
It did. So I guess we will see who is more right about Will Levis. And no, that's a long-term question. This podcast will still be going in 2 years, so we will determine that in the future. However, moving forward to a quarterback we know who is out elite, the Kansas City Chiefs at the New England Patriots.
Even though the New England Patriots, they did win against the Steelers 21-18, but it was a ugly 21 points that they put up. I want to say Zappy threw for 3 touchdowns. I mean, it's no shocker there. I mean, it was against the secondary of the Steelers, and ours is not that great.
Everybody get Zappy!
But the way the way that the Steelers played, they should have put up more points. Yes, we did not have T.J. Watt through that whole entire game. He did have to leave for the concussion protocol. Same thing for Alex Highsmith. So we had both the rushers was not there. It was just they should have put up more, in my opinion, instead of those 3 touchdowns. But Kansas City, I wouldn't say they are on a slope,
Yep.
but I do believe they are. They're on a speed bump right now. They have lost 2 in a row, one against the Packers and one against the Buffalo Bills. And that's one call that they got with Kadarius Toney having almost touching helmet to helmet against with another Buffalo Bills player. I mean that's just bad, or that was just a bad placement for Kadarius Toney. I don't care what they said. If he checked to the against to the refs that if he was good or not, and the ref said it was, and we don't care. It doesn't matter. It was Toney's. That possession was all Toney's fault. I'll say it right there. It was all his fault. He's seen where the ball was. He should have just stepped or behind that ball. But I mean, with that everything being said, I feel like the Kansas City receivers needs to start learning how to catch the football. Because there has been so many drop passes, and even though Patrick Mahomes is still one of the elite quarterbacks, but he's still not putting up the great numbers that he had before. I mean, against Green Bay, he had 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Against Buffalo Bill, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He lost to Philadelphia, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception with only 177 passing yards. So, I mean, he's not putting up the greatest numbers like he does back in the past, but I do believe they need to start getting some more better receivers if they want to continue the drive that the Kansas City is striving for. Because the receiver core, the receiver room looks really good, speed and everything, but the hands is also against that. But I'm probably gonna go with the Kansas City Chiefs.
You are absolutely correct, my friend. And yes, Kansas City's on a slump right now, and Patrick Mahomes is not putting up MVP numbers, but he's still having a very good year. 23 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 3,398 passing yards. QBR when in the NFL where 75 is considered average, 93.3. So yes, he's not having Patrick Mahomes season, but he's still having a very good season with no receivers to work with. The Chiefs thought that they could get rid of Tyreek Hill, who is, I can't argue this. I thought Devontae Adams was, but right now Tyreek Hill is the best receiver in football. So you get rid of Tyreek Hill, and Andy Reid thought he could just plug Juju Smith-Schuster or Marquez Valdez-Scantling or Kadarius Toney in these spots and think, oh, it'll be fine. We got Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. It's not fine. Because, like I heard Michael Irvin say on one of his shows that he does in a segment that he's not surprised this happens because you need a playmaker. No matter who your quarterback is, you could throw the best ball in the world. And if your receiver runs the wrong route or your receiver drops the pass, it doesn't matter. You need to put some respect on receivers. That was a penalty on Toney. It was. It might be a tic-tac call, but it is a call. They call that in high school football. They call it in college football. They call it in the semi-pros. And they call it in the NFL. It's a rule. It always has been. It always will be. So I don't want to hear, I don't like how Patrick Mahomes is throwing a temper tantrum on the sideline. I don't like that Andy Reid is blaming the referees after the game. As a coach, you don't do that to the public media because you're making excuses. I think there's entitlement in Kansas City right now. I think that might be why they're on a little bit of a slump. But I'm not stupid enough to think they're going to lose to New England. Because New England might have beaten Pittsburgh, but they are not going to beat Kansas City. Give me Kansas City.
And I'm going to add something onto that. So that call on Kadarius Toney being offsides, they've made that call 11 times this season. And they only called it 2 or 3 times last season.
Correct.
So, I mean, they got away with it before, but they're not going to get away with it anymore this year. Because I think it was the fact that it was the huge controversy of that play call in the Super Bowl. So I think they said enough's enough. We're going to call it, regardless on the team. So,
and it's correct. It's a rule. It should be called. It's a rule. You don't line up with the offensive lineman. You got to line up properly. You got to check with the ref. I played receiver in high school. I even knew to do that, and I was like 14 years old. Come on.
Yep. I mean that was taught in elementary, for crying out loud.
Right. Pee-wee football. Come on. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from Kansas City. It's a penalty. Yep. Sorry. With that, who do you have? The San Francisco 49ers at the Arizona Cardinals. Also a division game.
San Francisco. I mean, Arizona is not. Yes, even though they did have a bye, they had a bye week. But they're not good enough to face or to go against a high-powered San Francisco 49ers team, offense and defense. So yes, give me San Francisco 49ers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. San Francisco wins now. I think it might be slightly closer than people think. I don't think the Cardinals are going to lose by 20 or more. I think they'll lose by about 10 to 14. I think they'll probably play them good close. They might even have a first quarter lead, the Cardinals. But eventually, as the game goes, the Niners have been there before. They have a better coach. They have a better quarterback. They have a better run. They have better everything. So there's a better team. They're my Super Bowl pick, as are the Chiefs making it to the Super Bowl. And I want to say this. I'm still going with my Super Bowl pick. I think the Chiefs will lose to the Niners. The Chiefs aren't good enough to win it all this year, but I think they're good enough to get there. I'm not bailing on the Chiefs, but San Francisco's win the Super Bowl this year. I've said it all year long. They're the best team in football. The best coach team in football. And the Cardinals, yes, Kyler Murray's back. They're making some plays. They had to buy. Niners are just too good, man. Christian McCaffrey already over 1,000 yards for the season. That doesn't even include his passing statistics. I think Tyreek Hill's the MVP right now. I think Christian McCaffrey is a good second. Give me the Niners. That might be a hard take. But you need to hear it because it's truth. It's not a quarterback award. It's not most valuable quarterback.
Nope.
But moving forward, who we got? Ooh, it's that time of the week. The Washington Commanders. Are we going to take command? Or the LA Rams?
Oh. Well, even though the Rams did lose against the Ravens in overtime, the Ravens did come back in that fourth quarter stretch to tie it up, but yet the Ravens overpowered the Rams. I say give me the Rams, just for the fact that it's just the Washington Commanders they've lost 4 in a row. Yes, they were on a bye week. But you had great teams. I want to say the Giants are a great team, but they did 31-19 of the Giants, 45-10 against the Cowboys, and 45-15 to the Dolphins. I mean, all the losses they had, except for the New York Giants, the first game, and the Eagles, and the Seahawks. I mean, out of those games, they've been slaughtered. So I do believe this is. I want to say this is not going to be a slaughter fest. I think it's going to be one of the close games like the Seahawks, because I think it was like 26-23, I do believe. Oh, 29-26, my fault. I think it's going to be one of those games. So yeah, give me the Rams.
I absolutely agree, but for different reasons. I think it's going to be a slaughter fest. I mean, because you look what Matt Stafford was able to do: 3 touchdowns, 294 yards. Cooper Kupp, 115 yards, 1 touchdown. Williams at running back, who I added to my fantasy team, thank God, because he had 114 rushing yards, and Puka had 86. And then Robinson found the end zone as well. So you look at what the Rams are being able to do on offense. They are 6-7 and looking outside the playoff picture in the NFC, but they're tied with that 7 seed, like I said before. So you look, Sean McVay, he's coaching the Rams really well. Hasn't been playoff contention in a year. It was supposed to be a rebuild. Matt Stafford, who, as we said, who we think on this show is a Hall of Fame quarterback, has the Rams in playoff contention as well. So, I mean, I think the Rams win this game. The Commanders are absolutely atrocious. Even though they came off the bye, they're just not good enough. Give me the Rams. Maybe we'll have a different one this time. The Dallas Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills.
Oh. The Dallas Cowboys, they are killing teams left and right. It all started with the New York Giants, 49-17, Panthers 33-10, Commanders 45-10, Seahawks 41-35, Eagles 33-13. They are killing teams left and right now. I mean, yes, it is the regular season. Cowboys will always find a way to have a great season. But when it's playoff time, that's where the Dallas Cowboys will fall. I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys to win this game, just for the fact that the Buffalo Bills are still struggling. They struggled against the Chiefs. They struggled, but they did lose to the Eagles. And yes, they slaughtered against the Jets. They slaughtered the Jets, but they lost and struggled against the Broncos. They struggled against the Bengals. So with all that being said, the Bills are struggling. They're struggling hardcore right now, and Dallas is here to um, be that team, to be that number one seed, and I do believe that they are in that running, or in the second, or in that running for the first seed in the NFC, because they are 10-3, and I'm double checking, make sure I'm looking at everything right now. Let's see. So they are tied against the San Francisco 49ers. And the 49ers did clinch their playoff berth. So, and Carolina is eliminated. So right now they are tied of 10-3. So anything could happen. So with everything being said, Dallas Cowboys' regular season will always look good. So give me the Dallas Cowboys.
You are absolutely correct, and I still can't believe we haven't had a different one this late. But we still have 2 games to go, and they're 2 games. Hey, they'll be good games. So, but back to Baltimore, back to Dallas and Buffalo. I mean, you look. Yes, Buffalo was impressive, coming off of that really big win against the Chiefs. They needed that win. That was a must-win game for them, because had they lost that game, their season would be virtually over. But right now it is not, because they are 7-6 and tied for that one of those 2 6 or 7 seeds right now. So this is a big week for Buffalo again. But I don't have Buffalo winning this game. I said that I think Buffalo's going to miss the playoffs earlier. I still think that's the case. I think Dallas, I bet against them last week, and I went 5-10 last week. I'm not making that mistake again. I don't think Dak Prescott is the MVP. However, I think Dak Prescott is in the running for MVP. I don't think he is the current MVP right now, but I think he's having an absolutely outstanding season for the Cowboys. So I think Dallas wins this game. They always figure it out in the regular season, but like you said, they struggle in the playoffs. No different this season. But give me Dallas. I think Dallas has a really good team. I mean, they knocked Philadelphia down to a wild card. I'm impressed. Give me the Cowboys.
Yep.
Moving forward, I think this is probably our last chance at a different game. So do you want me to start, or do you want to start? That way we don't think people will think we're rigging it.
I'll start it.
You want me to start the last 2 so people don't think we're cheating?
I'll start. I'll start. Actually, yeah, you go ahead. Baltimore or Jacksonville. This is a Sunday night football game, and it is at Jacksonville. Who do you got?
All right, this is off script, everybody. We didn't plan this. However, give me the Baltimore Ravens. John Harbaugh, for those who don't know, is a special teams coordinator back in the day. He didn't come from the offensive and defensive side of the ball. And you don't only see a lot of special team coordinators get head coaching jobs. But here's why it's important I say that. Because the Ravens won on that really, and probably play of the year, highlight of the year. That Ravens punt return for a touchdown was absolutely
Walk-off.
amazing to watch. It was beautiful. And like I said, Justin Tucker's automatic. The Ravens have one of the best special teams in the league. Of course, John Harbaugh came from that side of the ball. Got to give our special teams some love. Almost special teams. So that's why they won that game. Baltimore is playing outstanding football on all 3 phases. Their defense looks impressive as a season overall. Lamar Jackson is still healthy. Knock on wood here, because that's Baltimore's always their big question mark is health. But they're healthy as they've been in late in season in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Baltimore wins this game. Jacksonville's kind of reeling. I think Jacksonville still wins the division. But Trevor Lawrence, they lost that game against Cleveland, 3 interceptions. He played hurt, and he came back a little bit. They still lost, so another gutsy performance. Trevor Lawrence was a top quarterback. He had one of them Brett Favre games, I called him. A lot of good, but a lot of bad. I think he played a little bit injured, but showed some toughness. So I think Jacksonville will be fine. They'll still get a home playoff game. Baltimore's just better, though. Give me the Ravens.
And I do agree with you. The AFC Baltimore Ravens is the only team that is 10-3 right now. So they are number 1 in the AFC division. Yes, and I do also agree with you on the other hand that this is the longest time that the Baltimore Ravens has been healthy for this long time.
Yes.
And I'm going to look into their injury list, and I will. So Kyle Hampton is questionable. Their receiver Devin Duvernay, he is on IR. With everyone else, I mean, everyone else has been out for a while. Ever since December 4th. Those two, Devin Duvernay and Kyle Hamilton, are the newest ones, but everyone else has been on injured reserve or out. But yeah, this is the longest time that Lamar Jackson's been healthy. His receivers are healthy, and that defensive side is healthy. So, give me the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
And for our Monday Night Football, this is at Seattle, Philadelphia, or the Seattle Seahawks.
Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia has had a bad stretch. They've played, like I said last week, they've played a really hard stretch of their schedule. They're still a playoff team. You look, yes, they lost to the Cowboys and they lost to the Niners, but it's only a 2-game losing streak. They have recently beaten the Chiefs and the Bills. So excuse me, you look, they're still right up in there. They're 3 games up on a playoff spot. They're going to be just fine. Philadelphia is just fine. Seattle, on the other hand, now finds themselves on the outside of the playoff picture. And like I said last week, they had one of the toughest ends of the season. I said they played San Francisco, and now they play Philadelphia. Then they play Tennessee, who seems to look a lot better. Then they play Pittsburgh, who has a winning record and is in the playoffs right now. So it's not getting easy for Seattle. Geno Smith still looks to be an above-average quarterback. I think Seattle's a good team. I think they'll win 8 games. I think they're going to find themselves on the outside looking in at the end of the season. Philadelphia will be fine. Don't panic. Give me the Eagles.
And I am agreeing with you on this one. Just for the fact that their longest stretch is now probably coming to an end. I do believe the Philadelphia Eagles is going to be the end of their stretch, but they have lost 4 in a row against the 49ers, Cowboys, 49ers again, and the LA Rams. I mean, it was a tough loss for the Rams game. I did put out a little segment on one of our podcasts during that game. But the last 3, Cowboys, 49ers, and the 49ers again, it was just horrible. But I'll put out on this though that DK Metcalf did shine through all 3 of these games. I mean, he put up amazing numbers, the best numbers that he could against the both of those teams. But DK Metcalf is a force to be reckoned with during this game. Excuse me, but yeah, he's not going to be a big enough force for the Philadelphia Eagles and their defense. So give me the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow. I will say this. We may have had every game the same this week, but that's definitely not going to happen moving forward because it took me and you almost the entire season to see eye to eye on every game. So that's impressive, the fact that it took us that long, in my opinion.
Well, we've had or quite a bit of games that we've matched.
Right.
So we'll see. Who knows? This might be part of my tactics. I might come back.
Who knows? Who knows? We might get every game right this week. We might both go undefeated.
Ooh, well, that'll be the first though.
Right. However, it's been a while since me and JB have talked professional basketball on this podcast, and that's what we're going to do this week. Because the end-season tournament recently wrapped up, the Los Angeles Lakers taking the first end-season tournament trophy home, defeating the Indiana Pacers in that game in Las Vegas. LeBron James was named the end-season tournament MVP, All-Star, whatever you want to call it, the MVP of that little tournament. What do you think so far of the end-season tournament? Overall, the courts, any of it? Do you think it's good for the NBA, bad? Do you think it's stupid, or do you think it's fun? Any thoughts you have? It's our subtopic, always, so you have 1 minute. Actually, no, 2 minutes. Screw it. You can go.
I do believe this was a good thing for during the regular season. It sucks because it was a short period, but to me, it was a good because more players actually played more. They didn't have that resting period and stuff like that. Even though there's some players that still did that resting period, but it wasn't for that very long time that people that normally does. Yes, Jimmy Butler. I do believe that he was one of them, but he was not. I would say he was injured, but I do believe he was just resting and trying to get back healthy. But he could have played. I mean, Anthony Davis. I'll say this: Anthony Davis did not sit out for that long period of longevity like he did last season. Same thing with LeBron James. He didn't come out and sit out and with all that stuff. But yeah, with everything else, I mean, I think it was good. Even the NBA commissioner Silver was happy with the East season tournament, and he is wide open to changes. But yeah, and with everything else, I do believe it was a good start. I don't want to say for something better, but you have to look at some of the horrible teams that could actually win a cup for once. But even though it's the Lakers, I mean, who knows? But I mean, it gives a chance. I can see it in the future. It gives people more chance to actually win a trophy and for a MVP title. For especially one of these horrible teams like the Pacers. Once again, they got into the championship game and they lose. It's like a tradition thing. But yeah, I do believe it's one of the it's a good start. Hopefully, I do believe there are changes coming in the near future. But everything else, it's looking good. I do believe it's a good thing.
I agree it's a good thing as well, but for different reasons. And I'll explain. My 2 minutes are starting now. Go. So, you look... I don't like how the Lakers acted. They acted like they won some sort of championship. LeBron talked about putting an in-season tournament little banner up there. You didn't win a championship. It does not help your legacy. I've seen people talk on, oh, this makes him better than Michael Jordan. No, it does not. It's a nice thing. When I say it's a nice thing, the NBA season is a marathon. It's 82 games, plus your playoffs, plus a couple preseason before. So it's a marathon race. It's not a quick season. So I think it makes the early part of the season interesting. College basketball has stuff very similar to this with multi-team events and little tournaments early on in the season, similar to what the NBA is doing with the NBA in-season tournament. But that's not a national championship. College isn't considered a national championship when they have those multi-team events. Purdue won one early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
They're nice little tournaments. They make the beginning of the season fun. It makes basketball more pure, because that's how basketball's played on every other level. High school have those. You have those now in college, and now you have it in the NBA. But it doesn't mean it's a championship. LeBron didn't win a championship or an MVP award because he won a little tournament. It's not how it works. LeBron fanboys are saying it is, but I want to start with that. And then I'll wrap up with this. I think it makes the early season more interesting. I think it makes it more fun. The cores were colorful and fun. I thought that was kind of cool. And I think it helps with player resting, and it helps the NBA ratings in a time where football is mainly being watched on the college level and the professional level. So I think it makes the NBA beginning part of the season interesting. So for that, I like it. But if they put a banner up, I will roast their ass. Similar to how Charles Barkley said that.
All right. Well, we are wrapping it up. Chandler, do you have anything you would like to take us out on?
Other than next week will be our Christmas special, I will be wearing some sort of Santa Claus gear. I will not, I will not disclose on what that will be, but y'all will see it next week. So other than that, of course, check out our sports facts for today. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, like us on Facebook, all that good stuff. JB, anything else you want to talk about?
No, just comment. What do you think about the in-season tournament for the NBA? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Let us know down in the comments down below, and also don't forget to like us on Facebook and be showing our fact of the day, sports fact of the day. Everything else, that is all I have. Until then, see you next week.
Go Pat, go.
See you next week.